Hello Planeswalkers! Andrew here presenting for you a deck tech around Kamigawa's Regent, Light-Paws. Light-Paws is a legendary fox advisor that costs 1 and a white, and she says whenever an aura enters under your control, if you cast it, you may search your library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to that card's mana value, and with a different name than each aura you control, put it into play attached to Light-Paws, then shuffle. So needless to say, this is a Voltron style deck. That said, since the aura that triggers Light-Paws' ability doesn't need to be attached to her, it's only the one that you search up that needs to go on her, you can play an aura on an opponent or an opponent's permanent, and then search up an aura to put on Light-Paws. With that in mind, let's jump into it. First on the docket is cards in the deck specifically for Voltron. All that glitters gives +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Angelic Destiny gives +4/+4, flying, first strike, and the angel creature type. When that creature dies, Angelic Destiny goes back into your hand. Artifact Ward gives protection from artifacts. Celestial Mantle gives +3/+3, and whenever enchanted creature deals damage to a player, you double your life total. This works disgustingly well with auras that make Light-Paws stronger whenever you gain life, and works in tandem with lifelink granting auras. Daybreak Coronet gives +3/+3, first strike, vigilance, and lifelink, but can only go onto a creature that already has an aura on it. Elend Umbra gives +0/+4, and like with all Umbras, if the equipped creature would be destroyed, you instead destroy the Umbra. This is called Totem Armor. Luckily, if you have multiple Umbras on a creature when it would be destroyed, you get to choose which Umbra to destroy. Eldrazi Conscription gives +10/+10, Trample, and Annihilator 2. Felidar Umbra gives lifelink, can be paid into to move it to another creature you control, and has Totem Armor. Hyena Umbra gives +1/+1, first strike, and Totem Armor. Indestructibility gives, a big surprise, Indestructible. Catilda, Dawnheart Martyr, has protection from vampires. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of spirits and or enchantments you control, and you can disturb her to have her come back as an aura that gives flying, lifelink, protection from vampires, and +X/+X, where X is the number of spirits and or enchantments you control. Lifelink grants lifelink. Light of Promise says whenever you gain life, the enchanted creature gets that many +1/+1 counters. This is what I meant when I mentioned Celestial Mantle. If you have both of these auras on Light-Paws, and you hit anyone near the start of the game where your life total is still 40, then you'll gain 40 life and put 40 +1/+1 counters on Light-Paws. You do have to get lucky with your mana ramp in order to play Celestial Mantle before turn 6, but if you can, then you can use Celestial Mantle's Light-Paws trigger to search up Light of Promise, or another similar card. It's gross and I love it. Mammoth Umbra gives +3/+3, Vigilance, and Totem Armor. Mantle of the Ancients recurs any number of auras and or equipment from your grave attached to the enchanted creature upon entry, and they also get +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to them. Sage's Reverie draws you 1 for each aura you control attached to a creature upon entry, and enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for the same. Shielded by Faith gives Indestructible, and whenever a creature enters your field, you may move it to that creature. Spirit Link gives the same effect as Lifelink, but without the keyword. This means that it stacks with Lifelink and any similar effects. Spirit Loop does the same thing, and when it is put into your grave from play, return it to its owner's hand. Sunbond is like Celestial Mantle, where it puts counters on an enchanted creature equal to the life you gain. Timely Ward has Flash if it targets a commander, and gives Indestructible. Now, onto support that's made specifically for enchantments. Ajani's Chosen makes a 2/2 cat token whenever an enchantment enters your field. Hall of Heliod's Generosity is a land that can recur enchantments. Idyllic Tutor can tutor for an enchantment. Core's Spirit Dancer gets +2/+2 for each aura attached to it, and whenever you cast an aura spell, draw a card. Mesa Enchantress draws you a card whenever you cast an enchantment. Resurgent Belief has Suspend for 1 and a white, and when it goes off it returns all enchantments from your grave to the field. Sigarda's Aid lets you cast auras at instant speed. Sigil of the Empty Throne makes a 4/4 flying angel whenever you cast an enchantment. SRAM, Senior Edificer, draws you 1 whenever you cast an aura. Starfield Mystic makes your enchantments cost 1 cheaper, and it gets a +1/+1 counter whenever one of your enchantments goes to the grave from the field. Starfield of Nyx recurs enchantments on your upkeeps, and as long as you control at least 5 enchantments, every other non-aura enchantment you control is also a creature with base power and toughness, each equal to its mana value. We've also got more generic support, like my new favorite white card, Crescendo of War, which gets a strife counter on it on each upkeep. All attacking creatures get +1/+0 for each strife counter, and every blocking creature receives the same buff, but only your blocking creatures. Heliod, Sun-Crowned, can grant lifelink. Mangara, the Diplomat, has lifelink, and whenever an opponent attacks you and or planeswalkers you control with at least 2 creatures, draw 1. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw 1. Mistveil Plains can recur cards from your grave to the bottom of your deck. Oketra's Monument makes your white creatures cost 1 cheaper. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you make a 1/1 warrior with Vigilance. Rogue's Passage can make your creature unblockable. The Immortal Sun turns off all planeswalkers, draws you an extra card on each of your turns, makes your spells cost 1 cheaper, and buffs all of your creatures by +1/+1. Lastly, Whisper Silk Cloak gives Shroud and Unblockable. As for defense, we've got Alseid of Life's Bounty, which can be paid into and sacrificed to give one of your creatures or enchantments protection from a color of your choice. Austere Command lets you board wipe for 2 permanent types of your choice, as written on the card. Vanishing Light exiles a non-land permanent an opponent controls on entry for as long as it's on the field. Blind Obedience has Extort, and causes your opponent's artifacts and creatures to enter tapped. Cavalier of Dawn has Vigilance, and when it enters, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent and replace it with a 3/3 golem. When it dies, you recur an artifact or enchantment. Darksteel Mutation turns an enchanted creature into a 0/1 insect with indestructible and no other abilities. Disenchant destroys an artifact or enchantment. 8.5 Tails can turn a spell or permanent white for the turn and can give one of your permanents protection from white for the turn. Flicker Form enchants a creature, and you can pay into it and exile the creature and all auras attached to it, and then on the next end step, they all return to the field attached as they were before they left. Ghostly Prison taxes your opponents for 2 for each creature they control that attacks you. Grand Abolisher shuts down your opponent's spells and activated abilities of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments during your turns. Karmic Justice lets you destroy an opponent's permanent whenever they destroy one of yours. Lapse of Certainty counters a spell and puts it on top of its owner's library, instead of into their grave. Luminarch Ascension gets a quest counter on it at the end of any of your opponent's turns where you did not lose life. You may pay into it to make a 4/4 Flying Angel if it has at least 4 quest counters on it. Path to Exile exiles a creature and lets its controller search up a basic land. Prison Term pacifies the enchanted creature and turns off their activated abilities. Whenever a creature enters under an opponent's control, you may move Prison Term to it. Return to Dust exiles an artifact or enchantment, and if you cast it during your main phase, you can do it again. Row of Stars gives +0/+3, and you can pay into it to phase out the equipped creature. Sphere of Safety taxes your opponents for mana equal to your number of enchantments for each of their creatures that attacks you. Swords to Plowshares exiles a creature, and its controller gains life equal to its power. Teferi's Protection locks your life total and gives you protection from everything until your next turn, and all of your permanents phase out. Then you exile Teferi's Protection. It's a one-time get-out-of-jail-free card. Finally, Wrath of God is the classic creature board wipe. For ramp, we only have a few cards, beginning with Arcane Signet. Archaeomancer's map searches up 2 basic planes and puts them into your hand on entry, and whenever a land enters the field of an opponent who controls more lands than you may play a land from your hand. Burnished Heart can be sacked for 2 basics. Esper Sentinel draws you a card whenever an opponent casts their first non-creature spell each turn, unless they pay mana equal to Esper Sentinel's power. Marble Diamond enters tapped and taps for a white. Solemn Simulacrum searches up a basic on entry, and when it dies, you draw 1. Sol Ring, of course, taps for 2. For lands, we have Castle Ardenvale, Desert of the True, Reliquary Tower, Roadside Reliquary, Secluded Steppe, and 23 Plains. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment letting us know what you think. Subscribe if you want to see more from us in the future. This deck has a lot of early game power in Historic Brawl on Arena, but admittedly I haven't had the chance to test it out in Commander. You may want to take the deck slower in Commander as not to make yourself the archenemy, unless you're confident that you can close the game out quickly. As an aside, I would like to thank our editor, Kat. She does a wonderful job on these videos and always has for as long as she's worked with us. I think it's been over a year now. I don't think we thank her nearly enough. So, if you like the editing in these videos, you know who to thank. I think it's just the Colosseums and maybe the Taps for Twos where it's Tyler and I editing, but for the rest of them, like all these deck techs are done by Kat. So big thanks to Kat, and we can't do this without her. So big thanks. Anyways, as always, have a great day, y'all.